So I want to go direct to the point. When I was talking to PJ, I was asking him, now what do I talk about? And you are very intelligent in our primary school. Me, I just went to the university. When he went to become a doctor, my first undergrad was BA Economics. And he told me precisely that we talk about money. I thought doctors are averse to money. But he told me that is actually why you work. And it is not a foreign thing. And because time is gone, I'll try to summarize. When I want to summarize, I note down some points so that we also talk what is relevant. And I'll be brief, direct to the point, and I hope I'll be talking to many of us. We are here as majorly employees of the county government. But I heard the statement that whatever you do in the county and whatever is done in the private sector is complementary. So in everything we do, we are still serving. And therefore, what I always look into filling the gaps, even myself, because many of us are in the same age set here, is whatever I am doing, am I maximizing my productivity? And I think the best way to measure productivity, or one of the ways, is also what you get out of your productive hours. So trying to maximize how much you get per hour, I don't think it's a bad thing to do. If I were in this sector, I don't know whether it's about where I come from or how I was born. I'll be looking at where I'll be making most of the money. But the world balance is somehow, there are those who may be looking for impact. We go to school the way we have all gone. We graduate the way we have done. But there is one thing I have noted that we do, which we need to always constantly evaluate whether it is the right thing to do. The first engagement we get after campus, the first thing you do after campus like this, it becomes your home for the next many decades. And many times I reflect and wonder, if whatever we get as a first vocation when we graduate from our various institutions, if it continues to define who we become for so long, then I think it's important to also evaluate where we start. Because if where we start can define us for too long, then it's important to know where. But I am here to talk to you because you've already started. And because you've already started, you're already working. I think it's important to keep on evaluating. Keep on evaluating. Yes, I got the job because I graduated, I needed a job. Wherever I am in private practice, I am doing so, maybe as an employee or the founder or the owner, because that's the first thing, that's what I'm doing. But I think it's important to keep on evaluating, including myself as a leader. Wherever I am, in the position I hold, in the county government, me as the MP for Kiharu, Mosiria as the chief, or Zipi, you keep on evaluating. Am I here because of circumstance? Am I here because it is the only place I should be? From KU, I had done some math because I knew several things I wanted to do. One is to run away from poverty. And money is the one that fights poverty. Employing so many people, Safaricom and the rest. I knew, based on what I talked about, the first vocation, I knew if I first get a job at that particular time, obligations will start in a few years. And obligation domiciles us to what we do. The fear we have in this room today, even as I talk about evaluating what we do and whether we can step out, the biggest fear is, huyu jamaa anajua ndiye naanza familia. Does this guy knows that I have people I am paying school fees for? Because obligations come to ground us. But I always ask myself, here is a dentist. You fear to break the glass ceiling of advancing to where you are more productive. Is where you are what you'd want to be doing in the next 20 years? If it is, continue. I was in ISPAC conference the last 2 days. And the day before yesterday, we had a chat with some of the participants there in the evening. And what was coming forward is that many of us are trapped in an equilibrium. In an equilibrium where, okay, it's not hot, it's not cold, it's there. It's maintaining our bills, it's helping us pay bills. And therefore we are trapped there. Because we think the fear of getting out of the risks is too huge. Then, because we were discussing about investments, I was telling them, and I'm telling you passively, at our age here in this room, it's also based on the point I'm drive home. When I'm doing an investment, let's say you have money doing some investments. I don't think, one person asked me in that place, what would you tell a 60-year-old in terms of investments, and what would you tell a 35-year-old? The 60-year-old I was talking about in terms, they segmented that because of one person may need constancy of money. After 60 years old, you don't want to experiment. I was telling them ourselves in that bracket of 35, give or take. I don't think we are people who are going somewhere to do incremental or to get incremental growth in our wealth, in our career, in our investments. I think that is an age where we have to look much more than 10%, 20%. That's about money, but also even about career. Ask yourself, if at the pace you are going at, wherever you are employed, if you are just incremental, you can only move now to this place, to the next step, then to the next step, then to the next step. How long will it take you to reach where you want to reach? How many steps will you have taken? That incremental. I think our age is not for incremental. Our age is for a much higher speed. And I think our ambitions in this hall are not more for incremental, but for much more. If I'm looking at setting up a private practice in this room today, I'll not be thinking about me as the doctor, the one seeing the patients. I'll be looking at facilities, seeing much more people than I can do myself. Because this one that conditions me to only do it myself, I think it is too limiting. I hope I'm not talking Greek. Are we together? Let me talk about naongea juju. Kuna kitu moja nimeona hii Kenya. And it doesn't matter which course you did in high school, in university. It also doesn't respect the kind of grade you got in your KCSE. I don't know whether somehow we are conditioned around it. It's a pitfall I have seen all of us getting into. When we get our first job, when we get to the next position, it is the pitfall of leveraging, the pitfall of loans. I don't know where it came from. If this whole I say, anyone akona loan pahali, staki kuwaibisha, but I know almost all of us in this room has one form of a loan or the other. Either in a SACCO, or in a bank, or in a Cyrock, or in all. I've not even talked about Fuliza. And by the way you are laughing, I think all of you are there. It is a pitfall. You know, many times when I'm conversing with people, I want to confirm whether what I'm thinking is right. And in most of the conversations I have with people, including my colleagues in parliament, once you get into parliament, the orientation you get, take a mortgage. I don't know of how much because you are told there is a law. Second one, you are given something called a car mortgage. Also take. When you get your first job in the county, the first thing you want to do, take a loan to buy a Subaru. Take a loan to start buying the many things I talk about, especially land. Now, hii kitu tulitoa wapi kama wa Kenya? That you don't feel like you have gotten employed until you have taken a loan. And you know, once you are employed in the county or the national government or even in the private sector, it's not you who looks for the banks. It is the banks who look for you. Why are they looking for you? Why? Kwa nini bank ati ukipata tu job? I am even surprised today one of our sponsors is not a bank. Oh, there is one sponsor who is a bank. No, this is an investment bank. There's a difference. But I know maybe they're in the background. Please allow me to address this issue. Because I think we need a change of mind also in that area. That every new entrant in the job sector in Kenya, your first 3 months, you are filling loan forms. Whether you are a doctor, a teacher, an MP, a minister, even ministers in Kenya, once you get your job, you are told stories. Mortgage, I don't know, car loan. And I'm not talking because I'm an outsider, or I'm not talking to you because I am better off. We come to this kind of a function to share ideas. And I can guarantee you, other than help, me, I've never taken a loan. Other than higher education loans board. And because we are sharing opinions, it's not that I know everything. We are just sharing. What are the kind of loans we take when we get employed? You people, you are looking at me, county government. Hapa, nyinyi naona nyinyi wote mko na loan. Mosiri ya kwanza, sasa kazi imeisha uko na loan. Lakini the beauty, you got another one, maybe a better one. Why is it this thing that every Kenyan in every way, whether you work for Kenya, KAA, whether you work for parliament, whether you work for county government of Nairobi, whether you work anywhere, how comes you all have loans? And what are these kind of loans? The first loan we get is a car loan. Umepata job, watu watajuaje uko na kazi. So you fill up form, you get a car loan. Do we sit down? You know, many times when I'm having these kind of conversations, we go to school. Me, I went to Kiabugi Secondary. KU. Did my master's. All of you here, you are learned than myself. Doctors. Me, I'm not a doctor. I am a master. You are all doctors. That you can go to the University of Nairobi, study, become a dentist, a doctor. So you think about other people's oral health. You are very good at taking 5-6 years to think about other people's oral health. But we rarely take any moment to think about our finances. That the source of our information on finances is when we meet in a group like this. You are ladies, you have met for chama, that is your number one source of investment information. And then you don't filter. Whatever you get, waboisi alisema kulima nyanya ni kitu mzuri sana. Immediately you are doing it. So we meet, the first thing we do, take a loan for a car. But we never sit down to analyze. This loan I'm taking, loan of 2.5 million shillings to buy a car. Number one, how many times will I be using this car? Number two, I am already taking a loan, 2.5 million. Tufanye hesabu na nyinyi. So unajua unaona tu top line. Ile umerelisiwa na bank, 2.5 million. Loan ya how much? ya 5 years. At what percent? You are given kizungu, reducing balance, blah, 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 at 18%. Can you do 18% of your 2.5 million in 5 years? The 2.5 million, the interest rate alone will be, the interest rates na zile tu charges unalipishwa hapo, sijui tunafanya search ya gari, tu vitu tu hapo. Ukiongeza the 2.5 million ile imelipwa mwenye gari, and you add the interest rate and the other charges, your car is no longer worth 2.5 million. You bought a car of 4 million shillings. What are the alternatives? Yes, I'm not saying you don't buy a car, but I'm just saying the same way you engaged your mind, you became a doctor in the University of Nairobi, you must start taking some time to think about what you are doing with your money. And there is no one around here to think for you on that. You have to also think. I'm repeating many times. Maybe you may think, Bona na repeat. Because I know we never sit down to analyze about the options on how we are spending our money. We spend our money based on one, pressure ya society. I'm a doctor, PJ. Nikienda Christmas pale kwetu Gaitheri, people need to see I'm driving. By the way, do you know most of the decisions of money we make is based on how people see us? So you go to Gaitheri. Hata ukifanya hiyo hesabu vizuri PJ, even if you needed to really satisfy that, isn't it even cheaper to hire a car over Christmas and then wait for a little bit, other than buy a car for 4 million, including the one that you are not seeing, called interest rate? Can't you be a little patient? If you must go over Easter and Christmas driving a car, isn't it even cheaper to hire around that time? Think about it. The next thing we take a loan for. I want to put out my own practice. I am a dentist. I need a dental chair. I need to pay lease. So I take a loan. Mbona mnacheka kama nawaongelesha directly? So, I am a medical doctor. I need my own practice somewhere. Set up a clinic. I need machines. I don't know how much it is. Take a loan. It is important we start also thinking that the only source of money to do business is not purely to take a loan. That's not the only way to raise money, to start a business up, especially in the kind of practice you are in. There are many things around it. There could be somebody with capital, and you have the brain. Maybe that combination may end up making you better off without necessarily giving you a risk of a loan. There could be somebody, and I'm not saying there could be, there are many people with money who could do exactly what you want to do using their money. Maybe what they'll be asking you to give is only a stake in whatever you want to start. What I'm here to tell you is that most of the times, banks are good in giving us an umbrella when it is raining. Only when there is sun. They give you an umbrella, jua ikiwa juu. Ukianza kunyesha, wanakuitisha. So you always have to think about, before you go to fill up those loans and forms, is that the only source of capital you can get to open your practice? The other one, which is very justifiable, to buy an apartment, to buy a home. Mimi naenda kuchukua loan, nimepata job county. Unajua tuna justify aje? Hata ndio nione kitu kama bunge. And I'm talking about experience. In parliament, people tell you, utaserve hapa miaka 5. Chukua mortgage ama hutakuwa na kitu ya kuonyeshana. Kuonyeshana meaning, nimepata job county. Take some loan. Build in Roiro, build in Pale Kikuyu, build in Gong, build wherever. Why? Do you know the certification you are given? Utaonyeshana nini miaka 10 ya kufanya kazi? You are a teacher. Immediately unajaza form ya TSC, umepata kazi hivi. Banka kwa hapo. Chukua loan. Ya nini? Kununua ploti. Why? Usipochukua loan, utatumia hii pesa yote, you'll have nothing to show after some time. You have gone to school for 4 years like me. I have gone to school for 4 years in KU. Took 4 years to think about economy. Me, I don't have an economy, so I'm thinking about an economy for everyone else. Can't you take some time to also think about your own things? Because most of the loans we take, including the one you took ya kununua ploti, was not a very wise decision maybe. Na ni vizuri unachukua calculator before you part with the money. And parting with money meaning kujaza hizo loans. You're already parting with your future money for a very long time, my friends. Before you do that, what would it cost you to sit down on a Saturday afternoon with a piece of paper and a calculator to think logically, critically, deeply? Forget about what Peter told you, your friend, and Catherine. Forget even the fact that mlikuwa mumeenda kuona hiyo ploti. Sasa buka chini na kalamu na karatasi. Then start thinking. You don't need to be a CPA. You also don't need to be a BCom. Think just with the information available. I'm talking about loan ya nyumba. Because that is the most justified. Justification. Hey, me, I can't pay rent forever. No. I buy a plot. Then I start building. I must have my own home. I'm not even disregarding having your own home. You've just gotten a job, my friend. You just got a job. It's important you take time to think before you engage your money for the next 20 years today. So, let's talk about 10 million. You want to buy an apartment of 10 million or to buy a plot of whatever amount, but let's talk about a home of 10 million. Maybe you brought it, you're at 2.5, you're taking a 7.5. You're a new doctor. You deserve a home of your own. Anyway. So if you had 10 million here, given as a loan, and that is the money you are taking to the bank, you have taken from the bank, either to buy an apartment, to buy some kind of a house. What is the cost? But before you go to the cost, ask yourself, because tunaambiangwa, nunua haraka bei inabadilika. Either ya nyumba ama ya ploti. You need to do fast. You know, houses, land always appreciates. We all live in Nairobi. Most of us here. Tell me in the places you live, land has appreciated for how much for the last 5 years? Tell me whether you have not seen an apartment selling for 7.5 million for the last 7 years. The same apartment. The plot you're buying in Roiro today, 4 million shillings, was selling at 4 million shillings 5 years ago. I'm not here to talk against real estate. They also have a place to play because eventually we'll have homes. Me, I'm talking about loans, not real estate here. So, by what margin is this land, this home likely to change for the next? Let's deal with 10 million and let's deal with 10 years. That's our basis. So we establish how much is this likely to get. That we are not summarizing today. We are talking about that Saturday afternoon. We said you call for yourself a meeting before you part with your money for the next 20 years or 10. Then secondly, if that 10 million is here today, and you're talking about 10 years, we have already first established, is the land changing? Is the house changing in terms of the price? Then secondly, this money you are with here today, we never ask ourselves, kama niko nayo sahi, si niko nayo hapa. The choice is between, I am a new person in the job market, is even alone. Between buying this home, what are the better uses I can put in this 10 million, and eventually I'll have a home, eventually later, but I'll not be burdened for so many years. But let's use simple arithmetic. If you had 10 million here today, and you do the laziest investment you can do. The laziest is buy a treasury board. The laziest. Ile, hutaki analysis, government never defaults, me I'm just buying a treasury bill or a board. Currently is the 13%. If you compound your 10 million at 13%, in only 5 years, that money will be 18 million. How much will the land, how much will the house you are buying have changed? Me, I don't have answers. I'm just saying we engage our might. Hebu chukua kama 10 million sahi. Na tuongee na nyinyi sasa. 10 million Nairobi unaweza buy nyumba wapi ya 3 bedroom? 10 million. Kilimani utapata. Let's be factual. Na munisaidie hapa kama tunasaidiana. Nairobi nyumba ya 10 million ya 3 bedroom utabuy wapi? Wapi? Team is saying Kiosio Kimau, another place. Joska, another place. Nyumba imekamilika. Wewe usijali finishing mzuri sana. Wewe kwanza ati mimi niko na kwangu. Si unajua hiyo ka design? Mimi niko na kwangu. Where else? Yes? Kitengela, Utawala, ni nyinyi mnaniambia. Wapi? Kikuyu. Natumia tu zile mnasema. Okay, tuchukue Utawala. Hiyo nyumba ya 3 bedroomed. Ukienda kukodisha saa hii utakodisha how much? To rent. Mmoja amesema 20, mwingine 25. Especially ile ya own compound. Unajua kwangu. Imejengwa una neighbor, mimi naingianga kwangu. So ni how much? 40, 45. Itapita 45. Tuache, let's work with 50. Sawa sawa? Let's work with 50. And let's use the laziest. Nasema tutumie the laziest investment option there is. The laziest for me is treasury bonds. So 13% of 10 million is how much? Somebody anifanyie 13% of 10 million. 1.3 divided by 12. 109. 108. That's 110,000. I used just pause for 30 seconds and think about the point I am having. So tumesema rate ni how much? 50 max. First think about it. Rate ni how much? Haya. Na hii hesabu umedivide imekuja? 108. Kuna mtu amepata kitu hapo? Has anyone gotten what I'm trying to say? Have you gotten? What? Have you gotten? The point you have gotten, that on this side, you are 10 million on present value now. Bila kuulizana na mtu. Inakupea 110,000 a month. 100 and? Na sio compounding. Tunaongea ile inatoka ikitoka. Not even compounded. Imetoka leo. So 110,000. The highest rent you can pay on that 10 million house mumesema ni ngapi? Ni nyinyi mumesema 50. Have you ever thought of such? But you know, the ego of saying niko na kwangu, taitu imeandikwa mimi. Na sio kesho, today. Then, you make a suboptimal decision. Because per year, the rent is 50 times 12 is 600,000. Na kwanza, unauliza landlord, mimi nataka nikulipe by annually. Anakuangalia hivi atashindwa, mtu ni pirate ama ni nini? Unaambia landlord, mimi nitakuwa nakulipa after 6 months. Please give me your account. Why? ile pesa iko pale. I'm not talking about compounded. Compounded now is later. Already imekupea 110. Na kwanza hiyo ni kama rent unalipa after 6 months. Inalipangwa kwa bank account yako after 6 months. So ile ya 6 months unachukua, unalipa rent ya whole year. Ile ingine ya 6 months ni pesa yako free. Unairudisha kule, inaanza kucompound. I'm not saying you'll not end up having a home. If you do that for 5 years, how much will you have saved? And will you be closer to getting a home with a smaller loan, or will you be further? That's some of the decisions you need to make. And I've used the easiest. If I give you the options of investment which are much better, then it becomes much, much more scalable. The other loans we take, holiday. Nachukua loan, naenda Mombasa Christmas. Naenda Dubai. Na vile mnacheka ni kama wengi mshaingia hapo. Allow me, we are not going to discuss about such kind of a loan. Because I don't think there is anyone in this hall who is so stupid to do that. Lakini vile mnaniangalia haki. Na ila mnacheka hivi. Ati unachukua loan ya kwenda holiday. Hiyo destination kwani inaenda wapi? Mombasa inahama. The other one we take, Waweru washafanya hiyo ya kujenga nyumba Gishagi. Ya kujenga nyumba Shags. It's good we build for our parents. That one, there are some things that you can't measure with money. Build for your parents. But then, there are people in this world who have already taken a loan to build a home in the village. Not for their parents. For yourself. Because I'm a doctor anyway. Mimi ni mwanaume. How can I not have a good home? Kwanza ya ghorofa Gishagi. And you have taken a loan to pay for the next 15 years. Because you go there over Easter and over Christmas. Allow me not to discuss that because I'm here with dentists who went to the University of Nairobi for 5 years. And I don't think they can do that. But by the look of things, that has already happened. But all I'm trying to say to all of us, can't we think? I mean, if you've already built your parent a 4-bedroomed house, 4-bedroomed, you are young, the young family. Kenya is a liberal country. Forget about cultural manenos. You need one room. By the way, when we go for Christmas, we all have shags. Over Christmas is not the house that we go to see. It's the communion. Watoto, where to our nieces, our nephews, wanalala mezani kwa kwanza wanapenda hiyo sana. Kwa cushions. When I watch TV mpaka almost morning. But because you needed to be a real doctor, you've already committed to pay a loan for the next 20 years to build a mansion in your village. Not for your parents, for yourself. Me, I'm not here to say what is right or wrong. I'm just trying to say we need to think deeper. The same way we went to school to learn our careers and our vocations, before we part with our money. Can you imagine if we part with your money for the next 10 years and you can't take one afternoon to think critically? Let me talk about a few things as I finish. Let me now talk about investments. For me, I am not an expert in many things. Investment, for me, my domain is stock market. But there are very many other investment options. There are. Some are fixed income. Fixed income means you can fix money in your bank account. You get a rate. You can buy treasury bonds. You can buy treasury bills. You can buy, there are many other instruments. I always say this. Our age, majority of us in this hall, are not people to buy treasury bonds and bills. And this is the reason. No one went to medical school to do the course you did, to live a below average life. No one. But, do you know, a person with a net worth in Kenya of, let's say, 50 million. 50 million net worth. Net worth ni ile, ukiuza vitu zako na ulipe madeni, uko na 50 million. Utakuwa unaishi wapi? 50 million. Let's say your entire net worth is a house. You buy 50 million Nairobi iko wapi? $50 million iko wapi? Nyumba imeisha. Help me to think. Where? Langata. Inatoshana aje? Or it's not even a quarter or an eighth. It's square feet. So my thinking is this. This is for you here. You either make it, that's my thinking, or you just have to make it. Because the other option is to live a good humble life, of wearing a suit and going to work, and then from today, you decide that is how you want to retire, and that is how you want to get old. The salary you are getting, you need to ichukue yote for the next 30 years, consolidate it. Most of you have like 30 working years now. The money you get, actually tuseme utakuwa umekuwa promoted, so you can even double it. The salary you are getting today. Take per year, times 30, and even double it. Then try to see if that is the only income you will have, whether you are already trapped in a low-level equilibrium, where the competition is not about who is making it. The competition is, in this below poverty line, who is ahead, but you are still below the radar. And I think even our economy, Kenya, to grow, we have to think like how Chinese started thinking, South Koreans and the rest. There is no way a young man and a young lady in this hall is looking for investment to give them 10% per year, and we want Kenyan economy to grow at 15% per year. And the economy is an amalgamation of all what we want to do. So you have to think beyond the ordinary. We must start now, stop thinking about the nice things, just getting a job. The worst you can do, buy a plot because land never loses value. That's what you are told. Number 3, the farthest you can do is to buy a treasury board because, you know, government never defaults. Then that is normal. Those are normal things. Normal thing, buy a plot is normal. Treasury bill is normal. So you have already decided you'll be normal. So I have no qualm with you. Then continue with what you're doing. But we need some more energy, some more thinking. And this is the hierarchy I see as in terms of Kenya today. The hierarchy of investments. Those who have some little background in business. In Kenyan opportunities today for investments, my thinking, and I'm not telling you to do that Monday. I'm telling you to also think and make your own determination. If you give me a choice between buying a bank meaning, I'm not saying you buy the entire bank, a proportion of the bank, between a bank that is already selling in the Nairobi Securities Exchange and the one that is not selling. The one with listed shares, The one that is not listed. The one that is listed is already very cheap in Kenya today. All listed companies in Kenya are so cheap. Majority. Sijui kama naongea giri kama tunasikana kiasi. Any investment you want to do today in Kenya, you are likely to get a huge discount by going to the auction. Stock markets are auctions. Because the economy of Kenya, the stock market in Kenya for many years has been bearish. Shares zikashuka. After kushuka, even last many months zimekuwa zikipanda, but they are still cheap. And the ones I'll give as options, I'm not telling you to go buy. I'm telling you to investigate further. Let me put here a bank called Family Bank. No, I know what you want me to say. And let me also put on this other side, Kenya Commercial Bank. Now, Family Bank representing an unlisted bank. Banks are measured in several ways. And I'm already talking to you about how to. I'm already thinking you will take interest in buying shares. So when you're evaluating, in a bank there's something called core capital. Core capital is, if you wanted to start a bank as 10 people, we all raise, let's assume to start a bank in Kenya you need 10 million. Assuming. So tuko kumi, tuchage kila mtu 1 million. So we already have capital to start a bank. That's called core capital. Now, when you are buying shares in the Nairobi Securities Exchange, the value you get, how the company is valued, is called market capitalization. Market capitalization is, yes, our capital is 10 million, but since this company is listed, if you buy all the shares, how much is it? In Kenya today, a bank like KCB is trading at 70% of the capital, meaning it is trading at a discount of 30%. There is a bank called Diamond Trust Bank. Diamond Trust Bank. It is trading, they have a core capital of 95 billion. But if you bought all the shares of Diamond Trust Bank today, it would cost you 32 billion. So it is trading at over 68% of discount. So you look at discount and you look at premium. The others, you realize they are trading at a higher value than they ought. Hey, today is an evening, we took dinner. This is too much maneno. But I'm just trying to say, think beyond land. Think beyond treasury bills. Think beyond treasury boards. When you think about shares, engage your mind to think about this. Look at the global economy. It will not take you too long. Look at how it is. Then come to Kenya. Look at how it is. Then you can cascade that to sector. Look at the sectors that are growing. For example, in Kenya, you don't struggle to know the financial sector is growing at a more rapid rate than the economy. So, if you're looking at the shares to buy, you likely not go too long to look at the financial industry. I saw the other day Equity Bank reported at that 2% rise in profit, where the economy is growing at 4.7%. Because the bank is expanding beyond Kenya. So they are bringing money they are making from DRC to benefit a local shareholder. That a guy in Tanzania is getting into Equity Bank branch, is already putting money into you as a shareholder in Kenya. So you look at those kind of things. And I'm talking about people who went to school for 6 years to become doctors. You can afford a day to study the investments you want to do, so that at the basic, you see whether you have a high degree of being right or wrong. Look at KCB. I'm not recommending, I'm saying you go do. Look at the insurance industry. The beauty about our stock market is that it is segmented. There are shares in agricultural sector, zinaitwa agriculturals. Others in automotive. Banks are banks on their own. So go and study. There are gold mines. And I'm not talking to you theoretical, because I do it myself. There is an there is an example you have read on newspapers, which I am not giving it here for motivation. Last year, in August, Kenya Power shares were trading at 1 shilling and 70 cents. Last year in August 2024, when you were taking the 10 million loan to buy the apartment. So, 10 million shares would have bought you how many shares of Kenya Power last year, August? Fanyia hiyo Sam. It was 1.7 shillings. 1 shilling 70 cents. It would have bought you how many shares? 10 million shares divided by 1.7. How many? How many? So 5.8 million shares. See it? Now today it was 14 shillings. Do times 14. Mosiria ni ngapi? Yeah? 82. Nikakileta yenu inapata hivyo. 5.8 times 14 is how much? Can I hear from this table here? That is full. How much? Imagine. See story, unajua there are things we read in the books. Hii tika story ati nimesoma pahali kwa sijui Paksa ya Hadhawi. You can check. KCB shares. KCB shares. In the last 1.5 years or so, they were trading at below 25 shillings. In the last 2 years or 2 years to 15 months thereabout, they were trading at 25 shillings. Today it was 63 shillings. Equity Bank shares, na hizi vitu mkuwe muna Google. Si ati ziko kwa NSC. The Friday afternoon I talked about ukae chini, just think, Google. Sasa ukiona ile unapata Google ni kama si correct. Verify in the correct websites. NSC, there are many sites that do investments. Check. There are many opportunities. Because opportunities start from the auction globally. Auction are stock markets. Once they are exhausted, that's when you go to private. You now start thinking about buying a private company. But as of now, there are many compelling reasons to buy shares. You know, the other day, I commented in Parliament that Kenya Pipeline will be listing. And I said I can't buy those shares. Me. I'm not saying that it's wrong to privatize. No, I am a proponent of privatization. I am an opponent of privatization. Because government should, to the best extent, not hold so many companies at ransom. But they are listing at a valuation of 100 billion shillings. Then I checked the books of account of Kenya Pipeline. The profit they have made in the recent past was 6 billion shillings. So in my mind I thought, because they are listing, they need to put up their socks. So I am sure they will report around 10 billion. Because when there is an IPO, it's like a marketing. So the year ending June, or the one, if the year ends in December, I don't know. I think it ends in June. They will report something decent. Supposing they report 10 billion in profit, and they are worth 100 billion. It means the company is trading at 10x. Their earnings times 10. Their earnings, net earnings times 10. So if you bought the entire pipeline, it will take you 10 years to recover your money. That's what I'm trying to say. Because it's valued at 100 billion, and the net profit is 10 billion. So it will take you 10 years. But it will be listing in a segment called energy sector in the NSC. I want you niwatume kibarua. In that energy sector, there is a company called Total Kenya. another one called Kenya Power, and another one called Kengen. So there'll be a one called Kenya Pipeline. And I'm saying this because it is next year. You need to make your decision. But I'm not saying you don't buy. I'm just saying engage your mind. Out of all those companies, take Kengen. Kengen is making 10 billion in profit. And its valuation in the market as we talk is 65 billion shillings. So what will make me go and buy a new listing which is worth 100 billion and making only 10 billion? People will talk about growth. What is likely to grow between Kenya Pipeline and Kengen? Electricity definitely will continue, the demand will continue to go higher and higher. The second option is Kenya Power in the same segment. At the current value of share, not the previous, the current. If tushikane na hapa, sisi wote tununue Kenya Power ikuwe yetu today. The entire Kenya Power valuation today is 27 billion. All the shares put together is 27 billion. Last year, they made a profit of 24